Hello and welcome back to Rams Talk Podcast. And my God, it'd be good to do one of these where we sort of like we tune in and we go, yes, what a weekend it's been. But no, we've lost again. Can you be, well, I'm not surprised to hear because you'll know already. Derby lost again, 95th minute goal, condemning us to another defeat. That's 3 wins in 26 now for Derby. Vic gave me a great stat where we've gone 6 home games without scoring a goal, which is a new club record as well, which is very impressive. So well done us. And yeah, it's just been a bit of a dismal time at Derby. It's been really, really poor on the pitch, off the pitch, everywhere. It's miserable. And yet here we are to talk about it again on a Sunday night. And you guys are here to join us as well. So thank you very much for that. So joining me today to dissect the pain and suffering of yesterday midday. It wasn't even proper afternoon. I just sit there for another few hours afterwards wondering what to do after we'd collapsed. Is first off, Adam Titley. How are you, Adam?
Yeah, not bad. I don't think I expected much different yesterday, if I'm being completely honest. I thought Millwall might be a game we might be able to pick up some points in, considering how we played at the Den earlier on the season. But obviously, not the case, but oh well. Didn't really surprise me, if I'm being honest.
No, it's not a surprise, is it? We've also got Vic Singh as well. How you doing, Vic?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. It's the hope that kills you, innit? We all thought, oh, it's Eustace's first game. We'll get 3 points, right? We're going to be back on track. But yeah, same old story, innit, really?
It is. And I remember sitting there at sort of 90 or so minutes and thinking, yeah, that's not right. That's not a bad first result. That's not, if we managed to grind out a draw from this, they obviously had the penalty that we'll talk about. And, that's a good result. And then for that to happen and for the way it happened as well. I mean, Adam, looking at the start of the game, Derby shaped up a little bit differently to how they've shaped up recently. We had Kenzo Houdmine playing on the left. We seemed to start with a back 4 and then very quickly shift to a back 5. Jackson ended up, he started quite high at the pitch, ended up playing a lot deeper. And Niambi sort of filled in as a third centre back. I mean, it was a little bit strange, obviously, seeing the likes of Kenzo on the wing. I thought we might see Jerry Yates out there and Kenzo in the middle where he can sort of pull the strings a little bit more. But even though we sort of changed things around a little bit, we had 2 strikers up front. They didn't really see a lot, did they? And it was just more of the same from Derby.
Yeah, it was. And I think the telling sign for me was about halfway through that first half, and I just thought, this is quite boring, if I'm going to be completely honest. There wasn't many chances being created from either side, so there wasn't that much excitement. I think Millwall fans would probably agree they didn't really put in their best performance, but the result's gone their way at the end of the day. But in that first half, I think, yeah, it was the same old story. I think Millwall held the ball a little bit better than us and moved it a little bit better. We had a couple of chances, but they were mainly just from corners being swung into the box. We looked quite void of creativity, I think I would say. The second half, I think, definitely improved. But, yeah, like you say, the strikers had a little to go off, if I'm honest. We're looking for that creativity in the midfielder out wide and just not seeing it, really. Either there's a lack of confidence or a lack of quality. I think it's probably a combination of both. I think, and that's probably been the story this season as well, especially away from home. I think I've gone on about it like a broken record that away from home we have no confidence whatsoever, and unfortunately, it's looked like it's started to seep into how we play at home. Unfortunately, I think we saw it especially in that second half when players drove forward with the ball, a reluctance to take a shot from outside the box and trying to lay it off instead, and it's just frustrating, really. I think I'd rather us try and not come off than not, but I think it's one of them where, obviously, with a change of style and system, players are probably caught in between both at the moment in terms of how they're playing. Because I think we still saw us predominantly try and go out wide a little bit, I think, yesterday, which is obviously what we did under Paul Warne. And I think at times we did try to go through the middle, but it's probably so alien to us as a team and as a fan base to actually play through the middle. We struggled to make that key decision in the final areas. So, yeah, we look void of that confidence, creativity yesterday, I think, and probably especially in that first half, like you said.
But you mentioned there, Adam, in the second half, it definitely did get better. I mean, Vic, we did actually we had this conversation yesterday, didn't we? What constitutes a chance? And there were some big discussions in the in the Rams talk chat of what does actually constitute a chance. But Derby's build-up play, I thought, was actually, well, it existed at some points. You know, there were a couple of times we caught them on the break. The Ben Osborne ran through on goal, and if he was probably 10 years younger, he might have got there. You know, we had a couple of moments where David Ozo ran through, and it was a 4v2 for Derby, and it was a really good opportunity. He has the shot, it gets blocked. There was a time when Mendes Lang ran through, and, you know, that ended up getting, well, he picked the wrong pass, didn't he, in the end? And there's even another time where Salverson ended up down the left. Haldman released him with a really clever reverse pass. He cut it across, and it was just behind Jerry Hayes. We actually had some semblance, didn't we, of build-up play, Vic? And even though obviously the results horrible, the game was incredibly boring, like Adam said, it felt a little bit alien. It looked like it felt alien for the players, but he's had a week in the job, Eustace. You can tell he's trying to at least do something.
Well, he's got his work cut out, didn't he? Yeah, but it was nice to see that we did actually, especially second half, we did try to play more forward thinking. The problem is when you got no confidence, things just don't click. Like, it's just fine margins, especially when we're in the position we're in, fighting in that relegation battle. Things don't go your way. Some passes go astray, or they end up playing behind where you should actually be placing the ball. Sometimes it's just, I think our luck is just like that. But at the same time, because of this lack of a confidence, the players don't believe that they can actually finish the build-up that they're starting. I think that's the issue. I think we're getting to a point where we get to the edge of the box, and that's where it becomes alien. I think anywhere up until that point, we do okay. But the problem for me is I think we're having to wait till half time to sort of kick into gear. We need to be starting games like that. If we're not starting games like that, then the issue comes at itself. The QPR way, same thing. Millwall at home. Alex Neil sides are notorious for setting up to be frustrating, pack that middle, literally just be physical and then just try and hit on the counter, which, to be fair, Millwall did a few times. We're probably lucky not to lose more than 1-0 in the end, I think. But it's a culmination of so many different things. I think the lack of confidence doesn't help, but there's no belief in the side that we're actually going to put the ball into the back of the net. And you can see that with the strikers. You can see it with the wingers who, on a consistent basis, don't take their players on. And we're sort of just having to pass back, middle, the other side. And we're sort of doing the same thing we did under Warne. For me, it's going to take a bit of time to sort of get the shackles off there. But there's small positive signs that we're seeing. Hopefully we can build on it. But the problem is if we don't have time. And I think the quicker we sort of get a result, even if we score off someone's backside and we win 1-0, we have to take it. We just need a result to just gee up the fans, gee up the players, and hopefully we can go on a run for the great escape.
Well, that's it. I mean, like I said, opening up the show, it's 3 wins in 26, but that does include the Leyton Orient game. So it's 3 wins in 25 in the league, which is so much better, obviously. But with a run of form like that, you know, we're looking at 1 win for the rest of the season if we carry on in the same vein of form. So, yeah, we need something, don't we? We just need to, like you said, hit someone on the backside, hit someone in the face. I remember, what was it? It hit Jeff Hendrick, or Jeff Hendrick had a shot and it hit Darren Bent in a place where you don't want to get hit by the ball and it ends up in the back of the net. You know, that's the sort of goal that we need at the minute. But the problem is, like I said, we're not getting in the position to do it. I mean, we saw last season, the likes of Mendes Lang, for example, he'd run at players and he'd beat his man and he'd get a ball across. This year, he seems genuinely terrified to run at his man and put a ball across. He doesn't want to do it. And yeah, it's that mentality problem. It's how do you get out of that? But before we go on to more complaints, let's talk about Derby's goalkeeper, Zetterström, because I thought he got a little bit of undue stick after the QPR game. I think we were diabolical as a team, and I think he took the brunt of that. But he was unbelievable, Adam, in the game. Ended up getting man of the match on every system possible. Really good saves, especially for the penalty as well. You know, he didn't dive too early, he held himself in position and managed to save it with his legs. And he made a couple of important saves. And for their goal, he was really unlucky because it was actually a really, really good save to stop them scoring from the initial effort. I mean, it's good to see him pick himself up and come in with a good performance.
Yeah, I think I think we all wanted to see that response from him and also needed to see that response from him. Like you say, after that QPR game, I think he did come under a little bit of stick. I think it's some people may say it's deservedly so, others won't. I think I kind of sit on the fence with it.
As with
But yeah,
everything.
Well, I think he put on a really good performance yesterday. Really, considering that I don't think he was tested frequently. I think he was required to make some really important saves here and there. Like I said, I think Millwall weren't at their best, but when they did have chances, he made some really good saves and kept us in the game, like we say, with the penalty. And I was hoping with that penalty save, it would almost inspire the rest of the team. I think we see that at Pride Park when we get a little moment that can increase the noise level of the crowd and lift the atmosphere a little bit. We usually run with that a little bit better, especially in second halves. But unfortunately, it just wasn't to be after that. But no, a really good save from him and a really good performance. And hopefully he can continue that, because I'm in agreement. I think this season he's kept us in more games than not. I think with some of his saves, he almost hit the ground running when he first come into the side, and expecting him to falter in terms of form at some point, but putting a really good performance yesterday and one that we so desperately needed him to do, because I think, yeah, he needed to come over that QPR game, because that's a lot of goals going in the back of your net when you're a goalkeeper, especially in a new season, in a new team. So no, yeah, good performance yesterday, and hopefully he can keep on that sort of form, because at times he can keep us in games more than people realise, I think.
Yeah, I think that happens with everyone, isn't it? The second a player gets hyped up, when they do fall, there's always people waiting for it. And you find that with a few players, and we've seen a few of our players. Kenzo Howard-Mine's been one of the latest ones who's taken a battering on social media as well. Anyone with a cool name, I think, has ended up taking a bit of a hammering. But Vic, staying on the cool name trend, Salverson, I felt so sorry for him yesterday. He barely got a touch of the ball. I mean, we've got a comment. Hang on, let me find it. There's a really good comment. So Adam Lilly's put, Adams had 61 touches of the ball. Kenzo, Yates and Salverson combined had just a few more than that, 65. That says a lot, doesn't it, about the ball isn't getting to the players that can do the damage. And we've seen that all season. Why?
That's a good question. I wish I could answer that. But I just, again, it comes back to, there's just no confidence in that side. But the problem is, I look at Kenzo's a perfect case study here. There's a lot of argument to say that Kenzo hasn't lived up to his hype. I think he's had the sort of creativity coached out of him by Warne. That's my opinion. Whether people agree with it or not, it's up to them. But the way Warne wanted to play football, you signed a player that's technically that gifted, who's meant to play a number 10, who's meant to be a creative spark, and you've ended up playing him CDM because of injuries or whatnot, or you just thought that he's going to be like the next. Who did he compare him to? Someone from Liverpool when he first signed. I think it was Gravenbach. He thought he thought he was going to be like him. Like, come on, like you've literally destroyed that player. Now he looks a shadow of himself, and to be honest, they all do. Salverson again started off really well, got that early goal against Cardiff. You thought he'd sort of kick on from there. The problem is he hasn't had any service. You look into our wide players, and we're playing with Jackson, we're playing with Ben Osborne, who had mine at some points, and Ben Osborne's played left wing back, which I think is probably his best position, to be honest. But the problem is, if they're not fizzing the ball enough, we're waiting for a set piece, those sort of creative players aren't going to get a touch of the ball. I mean, yesterday we were persistent on sort of playing the ball aerially to our strikers. Now, was it Cooper who's like 7 foot tall? Like, you're not going to win the ball in the air against him. So surely your plan is to play the ball on the deck and move the ball about. That would have been my plan. But you're lumping it to Yates, you're lumping it to Salverson. They're not winning anything against them. I thought when they tried against Tanganga, they got relative success, but again, it wasn't enough. And I just think that obviously Eber's had more touches because, one, he's the player that's going to break up their play, but two, he's normally the option that when we're playing sideways football, he's normally the one that you pass to sort of spray it to the other side. That's why he's getting more touches. We need to be a bit more brave. We need to just take it to teams now. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? If we do get relegated, let's at least give it a go. At least fight for it. At least show a bit of passion, a bit of fight. If we're going to go down, let's go down fighting. Or if we're going to stay up, we need to make sure that we've got everyone fighting for that ball, everyone pulling their weight. If we don't take risks, we're not going to get rewards, and that's the problem we've got. So, yeah, it's my little rant over and done with. But yeah, I guess it's just one of those things at the minute with Derby. Everything seems to be going against us, which is a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame. And I mean, I've seen people already saying, Eustace got it wrong, talking about his starting 11, talking about his subs. But I feel like it basically it's the reality that he's got to work with. I mean, yesterday we say all our wingers are rubbish, and he clearly agrees because he started Kenzo Halbmine out on the left, right? He started Kenzo in a position he's played about once in his entire career. He wouldn't do that unless he felt like he had no other option but to do it, The problem at the minute is we had no fit left backs yesterday. Ben Osborne ended up playing at the back. At right back, Nyambe offers nothing going forwards. Problem is, neither does Jackson. And every time we'd pick up the ball, we'd go down the left. I don't know if you noticed, every single time we picked up that ball, we would try and go down that left-hand side and try and use Halfmine and use Osborne. And those two were the only two that really could do anything. The times it came down the right was when we'd work it down the left, smack it over to the right-hand side and hope that Jackson's free enough for him to put the ball into the box, because if there's a defender in front of him, he's going to turn around. So when Derby are in that position, and this is what he's got to work with, I don't know what else Eustace can do. And that's the hard thing for me, Adam, is I think Eustace has been dealt, we were talking about this before we recorded, I think Eustace has been dealt the worst hand of any Derby manager I can remember. Maybe Paul Jewell was dealt a worse hand, but at least that was in the Premier League, I think he's been dealt a terrible hand. It's clearly a team that's been coached awfully all season. The players don't understand their roles. They don't understand what they're trying to do. They need to learn to play football again. Like you said, Kenzo, all that spark at the start of the season, gone. All the players that showed a bit of excitement at the start of the season or last year, gone. You then look at everything else that's happened, the recruitment and how poor the recruitment's been. I mean, when you look at it, it's ridiculous. We either sign players that are permanently injured or aren't good enough. The players that are fit are never good enough. It's just so frustrating, Adam. How is Eustace meant to deal with a situation like this? He's got 12 games? Is it 12 games, or was that the 12th game? I don't even know anymore. 12 games. Yeah, Vic's nodding. I'll believe you. 12 games to save the season, Adam. I mean, he's got to perform a pretty momentous turnaround here because, like I said, 3 wins in 26. I mean, reading the comments tells you the feeling of how people are thinking at the minute. It's not a pleasant read. Let's put it that way. How does he turn it around?
I'll be quite honest. I don't think he does. I don't think any manager we could have brought in could have turned this around, if I'm being quite honest. I think, like we've seen, the team is the team that we've got. And like you said there, maybe the recruitment, maybe some players aren't good enough. And that's probably the story this season. I don't think we've got enough quality in the side. I think when you look at the 3 teams who are in that relegation zone now, 3 teams who deserve to be in it and deserve to be playing Division 3 football next season. Away from home, we've been poor. And I think that's something that if we can sneak a win the next 2 away from home relatively quickly, whether it's against Middlesbrough, whoever it's against, whether it's in the final run-in, there's a possibility that we could be in with a fighting chance. Because I think away from home, we so desperately need a win. Not a draw, not a 0-0, not a 1-1, not a 2-2, not scoring on the last minute. We need a win.
2-2.
Well, yeah, I know.
Goals.
But like saying, say if we drew 0-0 to Millwall, that's not a good result for us in the position we're in. We have to win games. Can't keep drawing 0-0. Like we said, we've got 12 games to go. We're going to just keep saying, if we can get a point. No, we're 4 points adrift now for a reason. And we have to pick up wins. I think John Eustace, I theorise, would have taken this job knowing that he's got a rebuild on his hand, probably in League One. Because you look at the team and you think some of them players are probably League One players. Now, I wouldn't want some of the players that we've got now playing for us in League One. I don't think they're good enough, being completely honest. So I think, for me, for him to turn it round, I think we need a monumental miracle of some form. Because I've not seen an indication that this team has enough in it, whether that's on the pitch in terms of quality or just style of play, or players just turned up with individual moments of brilliance that could keep us up. And I know that's not what anybody wants to hear, but me being completely honest, it reminds me of that side that we had during lockdown. I think it was obviously where we stayed up on the final day against Sheffield Wednesday, and we were on that bad run of form, and I just thought we deserved to be in that relegation zone because of the way that we're playing the team that I've got. So for me, we need to see something, like Vic said, that little bit of luck in a game where something goes in undeservedly, so maybe an own goal or a deflection, and that might just give us that lift. The thing that worried me was when we saved that penalty yesterday, there wasn't that lift that we've usually seen. Even if it's been 0-0 at Derby or been drawing or losing, we usually see a little bit of a lift. Even if it doesn't result in a goal, we come back into it and attempt. And for me, I didn't see that. And I think, yeah, for John Eustace to turn this around, we just need to see a little bit of luck go our way. Just need something, whether it's deflected goal or we scrape a win, but a win I think is needed in the next 2 or 3, or I think we've got every indication that we're going to be playing football in a different division next season, unfortunately.
Yeah, it does seem that way, and it seems strange with our recruitment because we've spent around 10 million this season, in and around 10 million. We've sold cash in for, again, in and around that amount of money. So we got a few million at the start of the season. We're in profit for this season. Derby have made a profit when it comes to transfers, and I mean, when you look at the subs yesterday, we made that triple sub where Jackson, Salverson, and Kenzo Halbine came off. Barkhays and Mendes-Lang and Harness came on. And you look at it, we spent 10 million on that team, and we've got Barkhays, and who I actually like Barkhays, and I thought he did all right when he came on, to be fair. I think he's better than Jackson in my personal opinion. And he couldn't really get a game under Warren last year. He rarely started. He didn't start too many games at all last season. You know, Mendes-Lang, who again has not been fancied too much this season, well, by the fans anyway. And Marcus Harness, who, you know, he barely had a kick last season in the Championship. He couldn't get a game for Ipswich. He spent the majority of his career in League 1 and 2, and John Eustace had to shuffle the pack somehow. He had to change something. I mean, I don't think he should have taken Salverson and Kenzo off, if I'm honest. I wouldn't have taken Salverson and Kenzo off, but he's got to try something, and he's taken those off. He's brought those players on, and Vic, it's those sort of options that are the problem, isn't it? Because it's Harness who originally sort of makes the mistake that leads to Langus's mistake that leads to the goal. I feel like he just gives the ball away constantly. To be honest, I feel sorry for him because I think he probably knows himself that he's not cut out for this level. But when you look at the players that we're bringing on, what are we meant to do? Like, what are we actually meant to do when you know, Barkhays and Mendes-Lang and Harness come on, who, you know, League 1 teams would be shaking in fear at that triple substitution, but Championship teams, I mean, it's not a great sub, is it?
No, I mean, and it goes to show that there's no squad depth in this team. But I think I might have said this last week. It's just this season's been a culmination of so many poor decisions made from top to bottom. When you look back at it, the recruitment team, we spent 10 million. Langas, okay, looks a good signing at 4 million. I'll be honest, he had a really poor game in my opinion. I thought he played all right, but those 2 mistakes at this time of the season cost you big, and you can't be making them sort of mistakes. Thought Langas had a poor game for me in my opinion. But when you look at the rest of it, we spent 10 million and there's nothing to show for it really. Salverson, okay, we've done a bit of shrewd business there. Well, we thought we did. Problem is you've signed a striker, but you haven't signed what we needed ultimately, which was wingers to provide for that striker. Now you're sending Harness on. I'm pretty sure he come on as a number 10 again yesterday. So please don't tell me you used to see him as a number 10 as well, because I don't see it.
I think he only moved into the middle when Ozo went off. I thought I could be wrong.
I thought he went straight into the 10 in my opinion. But like you said, Barkhays he's looked good when he's made an impact when he's come off as a sub. I think maybe the change of manager might have helped. I'm under the impression I don't think him and Warren had the best relationship. Maybe Barkhays thinking, I've got another chance to show what I can do. And he's looked all right. He's looked a bit lively when he's come on. He's got that burst of pace as well. But it's the lack of depth at this level where you're looking at teams like Millwall who brought Josh Coburn and ended up getting the goal in the end. And that's the sort of things we're competing with, is players that can make those impacts for these other teams. I mean, we're going to be playing teams like Plymouth soon. We're going to be playing Hull City, which is second to last game. That could be massive depending on how the season shapes up from now to then. What kind of is the saving grace is the fact that we've got a lot of teams around us that we still have yet to play. The problem is they're all going to be fighting, and we haven't shown any fight so far. And if we've got 12 games to go, we've really got to knock it up a notch now, because otherwise we are, like Adam says, we're as good as down. And I think part of me is thinking that the club's actually preparing for life in League One. I just think that I just think the way things have gone, the way the results are going, teams are sort of picking up points around us, and we're not showing much at all. I just think that there's probably some sort of preparation for League One here, with the board coming all the way down to the manager. I think Eustace knows that as well. But I think as long as there's still a chance, we'll keep fighting. But yeah, we've got, in my opinion, if the players we've got on the subs bench aren't making an impact, I know this is what every other fan says, but give a couple of the academy lads a try. I mean, some of them have really impressed in what they've done. The thing with academy lads is there's no fear. We saw that in that Rooney season where players came and they knew there was no sort of pressure. We're not expecting them to work miracles. Just go and play your football, see if they can make a difference, because what we've got at the minute is we're showing nothing. We need a bit of a spark. If it comes from an academy player, so be it. Let's dip into that. But it's a bleak time just to look at that squad and think that there's no game changers on there. And the first 11's probably the best we're going to get. And if that's not producing, then we are doomed, aren't we, really?
Yeah, probably, to be fair. But I mean, you look at you mentioned the youth players, and it's a great point. And the under-18s have been great. There's a player whose name I've unfortunately not written down, so I'm not even going to try and say it, but he's got a really long and very excited name. And, he scored a hat-trick, got, 14, 15 goals for the under-18s. Cruz Allen been ripping it up. He's got something like 20-something goals for the under-18s. We've got a lot of players in that under-18s team that are slowly making the step up for the under-23s. When I'm looking at the players that we have, Harness, for example, sorry, Marcus, I'm picking on you a lot today. 1 goal, 1 assist. He's played 30 or so games, 1 goal, 1 assist all season. Jackson, 3 goals, 2 assists. Looking purely statistically, our attackers have been hopeless. So what have we got to lose? You put someone like Cruz Allen on, who's a natural number 10, in that position, put him and Kenzo both on. Why not? Let's move the ball around. Let's get balls into the box. Let's actually have a link in the midfield and try and play forwards. Have we got a young winger? I unfortunately, these days, I don't know enough about the academy, but surely we've got a young winger, because these strikers are scoring lots of goals. So people have got to be giving them the ball. We've got to have someone in the academy that can run down the wing and cross the ball in and has the confidence to go at someone. You know what I mean? Adam, we've got as our biggest talking point today, why are Derby so poor going forwards? And I think a big part of it is we just keep playing the same players and expecting them to do something different. I mean, what is the solution for Derby's forward problems? Is there a potential solution?
It's a big question. I think, like I said, away from home, it's been the same all season, but then probably away from home, we've played the same players in the same positions, like you said, and we're expecting them to, put in this performance that can change it, but we've not seen it. So I'm probably in agreement. I think at the start of the season, I was quite defensive on playing the younger players because of the position we were in. I didn't want to put younger players into a team where, it might be a little bit negative, that the atmosphere might be hard to have behind you. But now we're in a position where my expectation levels are pretty low with what we're going to see on the pitch, if I'm being completely honest. If we score a goal, then that's pretty good. So for me, like you say, Cruz Allen got a large number of goals and assists in the reserve sides. Give him an opportunity. And I was even thinking then, maybe in the second half games, no, just play him. Jake Rooney, same sort of story. A player who's worked hard to get back fit. A player who probably in the right back position can fill in. And just the younger players, Harrison Armstrong, who've brought in on loan. He's highly rated. He's played for Everton in the first team in the Cup. Give the players an opportunity. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We've got more experienced players in and around the team, even if they're not putting in the best performances, they're still there. So rotate the team. I think that's something that we might see Eustace do, especially if it doesn't change. I think Middlesbrough's a place that we're going to on Saturday where we've not got the best run of form there. If I'm correct in saying, I think the last time I remember us getting a really good result there would have probably been when Dwayne Holmes scored on the last minute, was it? He scored a volley and save a 2-2 draw.
Yeah, I was thinking Vidra, mate. I was thinking Vidra hat-trick.
Yes.
I think that's the last win.
So, yeah, I think place where they've not got the best run of form in terms of results. So, yeah, just try and play with a little bit more freedom, I think, up top. I think we need to get the ball to Sarverson more. He always looks dangerous in front of goal. I think Jerry Yates' confidence is probably quite low at the moment in terms of he's getting very few chances up top, and he has done all season. So I feel for him. So I think, yeah, bringing some of the younger players in the reserve sides who are in form. I know when you look at it on paper and you go, oh, it's only 4 points difference between getting out of relegation. But I think with context, I think we're going to need a big shift for that 4 points to be clawed back. So, yeah, I think play some of the younger players who have that freedom and who have that confidence to take shots. I think, like we said yesterday, we saw players get to the edge of the box and instead of shooting, we're laying off passes as if we're trying to walk the ball in or have that fear of shooting it not going in. So, yeah, play some of the younger players and hopefully we see a little bit of confidence and just a different way of playing up top, really.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Harrison Armstrong. That's a great shout. I actually forgot we had him after he didn't come on yesterday. But yeah, having someone younger in and around there, give him a go. Have a try. Have a go. And I think back to that season where we did go down, but only because of the points deduction. Remember when Ebioe started playing? Remember when Ebisele started playing? Remember the excitement the first time one of them ran past a man? Burst down the line, got a cross in or nutmeg someone. I think Ebioe led the league for nutmegs despite only playing something like 15 or 16 games. And there was excitement there and it got you going, didn't it? And we talk about this. Like yesterday, there was nothing. There were a couple of occasions where we kind of got near the goal and maybe won a corner or something like that. Like when we hit the underside of the bar, which we haven't even mentioned yet, really good set piece, hit the underside of the bar, really unlucky not to score. Classic Derby, of course, it didn't go in. But there was that excitement there, and you felt the roar from the crowd. And I think some younger players would make a massive difference. You walk in and you see, oh, Jackson's turned around again. Oh, Mendes Lang's lost the ball again. Fans are getting tired of it, Vic. They are getting tired of it, and it's been the same all season. And when you do something over and over again, it works. It's great. Like last season, the style of play we had, it was tedious, but it worked. And so you could buy into it. Whereas this year, it's not really worked. I mean, what's your take on how Derby solve their forward problems, and I guess how to get their confidence back too?
I guess if you do chuck in the academy lads, it's sort of that unknown entity that we don't know what to expect unless there's an avid follower of the academy, but opposition teams won't know what to expect either. It's that element of sort of it can give for the opposition it'll be danger because they won't know what to expect from a Cruz Allen, a Lennon Wielden, a player like that. Someone that's not played at this level before, but is smashing it in the lower league, not lower leagues, in the academy leagues, in the academy. So I just think that we've got to try something different. We've persisted with this for 36 odd games, and we've seen, like Adam said, we are where we deserve to be. Unfortunately, let's look to the youth. I mean, if we do stay up because we've put a Cruz Allen in, we've put someone in that's just literally turned our season around. Harrison Armstrong, if he has that sort of Osman impact, we all hope he does, but whether he does or not, it's just a different story. We're just hoping that even if they have that impact, great. But even if they don't, we can look forward to next season. If we do end up getting relegated, then there's a potential that these sort of players will be able to play first team football, given the fact that we dropped the league. If we stay up, there's the case that these players are now, it's that age old saying, if you're good enough, you're old enough, and that's their pathway into the first team. Then they've got nothing to lose in terms of these young players. So give them the opportunity to have a go. Let's see what they can do. It's got to be something different to what we're already offering because teams already know that Jackson's not going to take his player on. Harness isn't going to do anything wherever he's playing. Sorry, sorry, Harness, but I feel like you've been bullied a bit today. And the service ain't getting to the strikers. We need to mix something up. We need to try something different. Eustace is known to sort of bring youth players through. Hopefully, he gives a couple of them a chance. I think with the Matt Clark situation as well, I think he looks injured. So it's either Foz will play or maybe we'll give Jake Rooney a try. Either one. We'll have to see there. But give the youth a chance. There's nothing. We can't lose. It can't get any worse than this, really, can it? If we've given them a go, then at least we can say we tried and then there's things to look forward to in the future, whatever division we're in. But just give them a go. Let's see what happens.
That's it. Like if Cruz Allen picks up the ball on the halfway line and runs at someone, you'd be like, "Go on, get there." You know, you're willing him forwards. When Jackson picks up the ball, I have no reaction because I know where he's going. And it's the same with a lot of our players, like Harness. If he picks the ball up on the turn, I know he's just going to sprint into the nearest player and give it away, because that's what we've done for 30 consecutive games, you know. So yeah, it's one of them. I'd love to see more youth players, but you mentioned it there, Vic. Oh, the injuries never end, do they? They never ever end. I mean, Matt Clark looks like he's done his hamstring. I'm really hoping it's precautionary and he's just felt it's a little bit tight. We could do with him back. We don't know how far away Nat Phillips is. I think in other injury news, Kane Wilson's only a couple of weeks away, which I guess is interesting at least. But Adam, I mean, David Ozo as well looks like he's done his quad again, which is the injury that he had right at the start of the season. He tore his quad, and it looked like the same quad as well, which is never good. I feel so sorry for David Ozo because he's clearly brilliant, but he's also never fit, and it's a little bit of a waste of a loan, isn't it? But those injuries could kill us, couldn't they? They could really kill us. Two really important parts of the spine of the team suddenly gone. I mean, where did Derby go from here? Who plays in those positions?
I think, like we've just spoken about, the youth players, we'll have to call upon them. I've always said I admire Jay Rooney when he plays, and probably have to call upon him at some point because I don't know whether he can play in that midfield as well as right back. Whoever made that up, or
what is with you and Jay Rooney? The 8 out of 10 for playing.
He's going to get another 8 out of 10 this season from me as well. But no, I think we are just going to have to call upon youth players. I think I'd rather play youth players in his natural position than see what we've done all this season and put square pegs in round holes, because I think that's hindered us more than it has helped us. I think, yes, I understand with the injuries that we've had, we've been really unlucky, but then maybe I think there's an argument to be made about signing players with a proven injury record. Obviously, David Ozo is a really unfortunate one, very talented player who's just been really unfortunate that he's been injured, well, once now, probably twice as well. It will be massive if we lose Matt Clark for however long that is, if he is out for a prolonged period of time. But yeah, I think, like just spoke about, we're going to have to play these youth players and put some belief in them. I think put some confidence in them that if you've been playing regular football, either on loan in non-leagues, I know we've got a couple of players who've been out on loan in the non-league system, or they've been playing regularly for the under-23s, then they are good enough to step up into a first team. I think we've been unlucky with injuries such as Dosanjh Brown, who we didn't really see feature too much for the first team. And then he's obviously got that injury, which means he's kept out for the remainder of the season, which I think is really unfortunate as well. So I think, yeah, we're going to have to call upon some of the academy players who've either had experience out on loan in the non-league system or played a regular amount of games this season in the under-23s league, because I'd rather us play players in a natural position than players out of position, because I think we've spoken about that for the last 2 or 3 years, is that we've constantly played players in their unnatural position. We mentioned how mine earlier playing in that holding midfield role where it just wasn't working. So yeah, call upon some of the younger players in the academy, and like I think you said, just give them some belief that they are good enough to play, and maybe we'll get something from them.
Just on the subject of that, though, like with the medical team, like we've got a medical team in place, but I've never seen so many injuries at Derby. So what are the medical team doing?
Injuring them.
It feels like it, doesn't it? We've had about 15 players injured at one point. Do you know what I mean? Like we've got a medical team in place, but we don't seem to either get these players back fit, or we're not avoiding any injuries. I know the style of play we had was a bit demanding, but what are we paying the money for if we can't get these players fit and ready to get back into the side?
Well, that was a big thing under Warne, wasn't it? That the medical team were instructing Warne on when players should come on, when players should come off, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see if Eustace follows the same thing. I don't think he will, judging by just the 2 games so far. The substitutions have seemed natural and not planned as they were previously, which is, I guess, good. But yeah, I mean, Alex Stepien-Iwemene, is that Stepien-Iwemene? Is that how you say it? He looked really good in pre-season. You know, he plays centre mid, holding midfield. Why not? give them a go. You know, I think we've reached that point. If we turn up and we have Haldmine next to Adams with harness in front of them, I might throw myself off the top of Pride Park at the next home game, because that's what it will be. And yeah, that's what we really want to avoid. So the good news is we actually signed someone. We've not actually had an episode since we signed Kumar Roof, apart from the special one. We've signed Kumar Roof. I thought he did well in his 5 seconds on the pitch, Vic. Did a nice little round the corner ball. Lovely class first. Probably the only moment of class all game that we actually saw from a Derby player. I mean, if we can get him fit, at least we've got something.
Yeah, exactly. You're sort of hoping that he has that Dwight Gale impact that he had last season. It's a good addition, to be fair. I thought it's quite telling that Warren's got to be managed to sign a striker, which is quite funny. But now we've got a striker of real quality. If we can get him fit, I think he's going to play an important role. He did that one flick where we thought, wow, that's what we need to see, a bit more link-up play, someone that can just sort of instinctively know where these midfielders and wingers are running into. So hopefully he can be a good signing for us. I'm quite excited to see Roof get his first goal, hopefully soon. I don't know if it'll be at Pride Park, but maybe at Middlesbrough where we might see him score.
Or in the Championship.
It's just another option, isn't it? I think Roof and Salverson up top, that sounds quite interesting to me. You got that sort of big man, tall man, little man sort of combination. So I'm excited to see what he could do, but hopefully he can hit the ground running, because my God, do we need him.
Yeah, we certainly do, don't we? We certainly do. So yeah, it's been a really interesting one. It's been really interesting reading the chat as well, because yeah, there's a lot of discussion points on who we should play. I mean, yeah, it's just a really difficult time, isn't it? And as we've said already, we just need to stick together and back the team. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard when like nothing happens. How do you get behind a team that don't shoot? You know, it's not even the fact that we don't score. We're talking about episode ideas for midweek. Jack said top 10 shots on target. And look, we've not even had 10 in 2025. So, you know, it's that sort of thing. We're just really lacking at the moment, and we just need a little bit more. We really do need a little bit more. But for some much needed positivity, Adams, you've got us midweek, haven't you? You're doing the midweek show where we're going through some of Derby's best away games to try and cheer everyone up. So that'll be an enjoyable one. So make sure you have a listen to that as we go through some good memories. We don't have many of those.
Yeah.
We might as well enjoy them whilst they're here. So thank you so much for listening. If you did enjoy, please do like, please do subscribe. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments as well. We really enjoy reading them after the episodes are done too. So if you've got any thoughts and you're watching or listening to this back, let us know and we'll have a proper read through. Yeah, as I said, give us a rating, please, especially if it's good. That's always appreciated too. So thank you. Let's hope things get better. Hey, that'd be nice. Goodbye from me.
Yeah, hopefully a much needed goal to boost confidence on Saturday and hopefully a win. That's me being quite optimistic. So goodbye from me.
It ain't over till the fat lady sings. Goodbye from me.
Would you take a goal if we were already 3-0 down? Would that count?
100%. I'll celebrate that we got promoted.
Well, there we go. A goal is the most important thing. Thank you for joining us, and yeah, we'll see you soon. Bye.